As we step into the virtual arena today, we'll be seeing the top 4 teams in the world fight out in the semifinals for a prize pool of
Вселенной в поисках героев, способных вернуть утраченную энергию. Избрав 5 сильнейших представителей, Мира собрала их у Куба Советов, наделив их уникальной силой. Они стали хранителями гармонии, чья задача — охранять и поддерживать баланс. Советом было принято решение провести турнир, победитель которого распространит гармонию по свету. Для этой цели Куб преобразовал частицу гармонии во флейм — древний артефакт для сбора энергии. Хранителями было выбрано место для проведения турнира — город с самым сильным соприкосновением энергии. Именно здесь миллионы зрителей и сильнейшие атлеты примут участие в величайших играх всех времен, чтобы определить достойнейших и восстановить баланс миров. Да начнутся игры!
And here we are. Like we stated, one of the richest casters in the world, and I'm convinced he's from the future. You've seen him in MPL Philippines, MPL Indonesia, M1 all the way to M5. Introducing the richest caster in the world from the heart of the Philippines. Wolf is in the building. How you doing?
I'm stunned. Thank you so much for that intro. However, you know, I do wish that I am what you say I am. You know, if money was if money was a thing, you know, dude, I'd take all of it. But it's just, I'm actually stunned. I'm out of words. You know, this is the first time I probably stuttered in an introduction. So thank you so much, Steph, for that. And yeah, I would hope that as much hype, I hope that the games can bring as much hype as you did. Because like I said, I'm lost for words, dude. You stunned me.
I had to, man. I got to give credit where it's due. Definitely a vet in the game. And shout out to Wolf joining us today on our amazing venture through the semifinals. That's right. Today is the semifinals, guys. One step closer to figuring out who's the best in the world and who will be taking home majority of that $1 million prize pool and stepping into the grand finals. Now, let's do a little bit of a recap of what we've seen, right, throughout the entire tournament. We had 4 groups fighting it out for a couple of days, and then we moved on to the playoffs, which was one team getting knocked out from each group. And we had currently a couple of days of playoffs, right? We had round 1 and the quarterfinals, which were all amazing matches. And yesterday was the quarterfinals. A couple of teams did get knocked off the board. You got to see RRQ Hoshi take down the Burmese Ghouls, AP BREN take out Homeboys, Blacklist International taken down by Fireflux Esports. Who would have thought Turkey stepping up into the scene and taking down a Filipino team? And then Onyx 2-1 up against RCC. They did lose a match. It was looking a little shaky toward that late game, but they were able to make up for it in game 3. And here we are, now at the semifinals with some great matches ahead of us.
You know what, Steph? Watching the quarterfinals last night was, at least for Southeast Asians like me, I'm from the Philippines. When you're watching that, you're looking at quarterfinals 1 and 2, where you kind of expected that will happen, right? You know, as a Filipino, I would go for AP BREN, and I know for sure that RQ Hoshi with 2 Filipinos in there, they're gonna take it. But oh my, I can't believe that I'll be that surprised late in the night. This happened I think 2 a.m. in the Philippines, so we're all very, you know, sleepy already. We're all drowsy. But then again, Fireflux Esports stuns Blacklist International 2-0 fashion after a very long time of not being able to defeat Blacklist International franchise versus franchise. They 2-0 Blacklist International in one of the biggest tournaments internationally for Mobile Legends. That's like mind blown. And then RCC takes away a game from Onyx. Onyx had to work for that series. Even the games that Onyx won, they had to work hard for it. So all of the drowsiness, all of the sleepiness, it went away even when it's like 2 a.m. in the morning for Filipinos, or for Southeast Asians, just because of the act that we saw yesterday.
Yeah, it was definitely jam-packed and full of surprises, and I'm right there with you. Honestly, to be able to see Fireflux able to take a game from Blacklist, one of the most highly decorated teams on the Philippines, and to be able to take them down, I mean, they placed 3rd inside of M5, taking down a team which just kind of reminds me of Fireflux currently, which would be Deuce Volts, right? They had a high rise side of M5. They made it all the way to 4th place and then got taken down by Blacklist. But to see another region, Turkey, stepping up to the game and showing the world they're ready to take it to the next level, and they're going to have that shot here, right? I mean, you know what's so funny about today's matches? semifinals game match 1 or series 1, we have RRQ Hoshi versus AP BREN. We're going to be seeing Indonesia going up against the Philippines. There's only currently one more Filipino team in the mix right now, which is AP
That's
BREN.
right.
And
That's right.
we still are sitting with 2 Indonesian teams. We got Onyx and RRQ Hoshi. But then also, like you said, since Blacklist did get taken out, we do have another region contending so far inside of the semifinals. And it's going to be some excitement. I mean, how do you feel about the new RRQ Hoshi? I mean, with their new rosters, back to the RRQ Hoshi name, they've been performing.
Yeah. No, I have definitely high expectations for the team, especially because of their moves. I think when it comes to when you're gonna be asking me about what my expectations were of RRQ when they did announce the roster, it was incredibly high. And now they are actually proving that those expectations are well met. Now, with all of the success that RQ was able to get in the past few days for Games of the Future, you still have some doubts of their strength as a team, right? So I'll be completely honest. I'm not yet that convinced of what they have shown, just because in their first series, they almost lost both of their games, but then they came back. So there was a little bit of a shakiness, but that's understood, because this is a new team. So when now we're talking about top 4, where they're up against teams that have great chemistry already, now that's when you start to ask questions. I still rate them very highly, right? So I think that with the coach that they have and the 2 Filipino players and then the rest of the Indonesians really stepping up for this team, my expectations and my rating for the team is still very high. But they're probably gonna struggle in the top 4.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be a challenge. We're now looking at Banana. Speaking about RQ Hoshi, just dominating with that Benedetta, rotating all around the map. Octa being such a strong force so far. Brusco stepping into the scene. You've seen all the amazing setups. Skylar, the crazy $1 million Layla play that we got to cast. Who would have thought we would have seen Layla in an international tournament? And Irad dancing around the jungle, pulling out the Lancelot, getting the steals, getting the kills. And overall, some flawless execution as RQ Hoshi, straight out of Indonesia, looking stronger than ever.
So many good standout plays from Octa, which is interesting. But now, of course, we have the mainstay from the team, like Banana. There's so many criticism that he was able to get when he started playing for RRQ back in MPL Season 10. Then after 3 seasons, still, people are not convinced on what Banana can bring to the table. But so far, in Games of the Future, you have noted some of the important games and important heroes that he's playing, like the Benedetta. That's surely something that you have to watch out for. And then, now they're facing AP BREN.
Yep, AP BREN stepping into the scene. Flap Teasy, not wasting any time. Definitely a fan favorite. You are seeing Pando sneaking up into the scene as well. Phew, there he is, looking stronger than ever. Heavy competitor in Ogwin. Can't wait to see these guys perform today. AP BREN, like we said, the current champions from M5. Kyle Teasy himself throwing up that fist, ready to take the fight into the land of Dawn, as you are seeing them rev up. Just got to be excited to see this matchup, right? I mean, this should be technically the hardest contender inside of Game of the Futures 2024. They are the current world champions from last year.
Of course, the tournament favorites. And then when you see them kind of slack off in the group stages, I mean, I will not mince my words here, but that's what we felt as Filipinos when they were watching AP BREN. Now they fight against Homeboys, a team that's worthy to be a contender for the team. They destroyed the competition 2-0. Now I gotta say, like watching that previous series when they went up 2-0 against Homeboys, that was a stomp, And I'm not saying this because I'm from the Philippines and I know AP BREN, but I'm saying that because that's literally what happened. It was very, very quick, and everything that AP BREN was doing was connecting properly against their opponents. So what I'm trying to say here is, when you're looking at AP BREN, it looked shaky when it comes to like the first few games in the group stages, but now during it's technically playoffs mode or the top 4 or the semi or the quarterfinals mode, they're a different beast. They really turned up, and everything that they did was perfect back then.
Yeah, definitely flawless execution so far. I mean, it's no secret, when you're sitting at that world champion. I mean, honestly, they're in a position where they have really everything to lose. Everybody wants to take down the biggest team in the world holding that championship title from the M Series. But so far, just a little bit of history from Game of Futures, what we've seen so far, they're currently undefeated. They're able to take down Homeboys opening day inside of Group B. They beat S2G and sent them home inside of the winners match, and then moved on past stage 1 into stage 2 of the playoffs and defeated Homeboys again and sent them home packing to the airport. And then now today, we are going to be seeing them go up against another top region, MLBB, which is going to be Indonesia or the Philippines. Or yeah, no, Indonesia. Yeah, we're right.
That's right. That should be a treat. I mean, who would this is something that the Filipinos would love to see when the Filipino team, or the only Filipino team left, will have to go through an Indonesian top-tier team, and then will eventually, or might be, getting into the finals against another Indonesian team, right? So, and especially because they're in the top 4 and this is a single elimination bracket, all of the matches now for AP BREN will be difficult. They're going to be facing up against great teams and, you know, worthy contenders of the championship. That is how you know that, okay, this is a time where the championship, the world championship, should be defended. This is how you should defend it, you know? So I'm just excited and very curious on what might happen for AP BREN versus RRQ Hoshi, and surely all of the Filipinos are very much excited now.
Yeah, I mean, they are the last stand for the Philippines, right? Seeing Blacklist taken down, they're the only ones sitting from the Philippines region to be able to hold that banner inside a Game of Futures 2024. But they're looking very promising as we are going to be progressing through these matches, and I definitely expect some flawless execution. But I think this may be one of the spiciest series that we've seen so far in Game of Futures 2024.
Yeah, for sure. And it's spicy enough to kind of, it's spicy enough to bring up some of the important emotions from the fans, right? So I'm gonna bring something up here, Steph. One of my friends, one of my dear friends, Manjin, and I'm sure you know him, right? And when you're watching back in M4, when there's RRQ, when there's Echo, when there's Blacklist, there are Filipino teams. He's the guy that said that, yeah, you know, Onyx has been carried by a Filipino. He's that kind of guy, right? So now, he is actually like raising up the spirits of the Filipinos, and I think that he wants to prove that the Filipino teams are really, you know, top tier. That it's still Filipino era. So do watch his stream. Well, not right now because you have to watch. Please watch us. Don't go to his stream. But maybe if you're a Filipino, you want the history stream, do watch him right now. He's support the Philippines. But now he's up for the challenge. So no matter if there's someone, especially from Indonesia, watching right now that wants to challenge Mr. Manjin Faldas in a dance-off or whatever, or maybe if it's a Mobile Legends game, he's up for it. And I brought this up because this is how much passion there is for the Filipino fans right now. Remember, this is 12 a.m. in the Philippines, right? So people are doing extra stuff. they're exerting more effort just to support the Philippines, and that's how passionate they are. So yeah, big shout out to my friend Manjin Faldas, actually, and the Filipino fans. And I do hope that you enjoy the series that we are about to see.
Yeah, and that Filipino pride definitely burning hotter than ever. Shout out to everybody from the Philippines tuning in. Like you said, midnight over there. I mean, I'm in North America. It's about to be the afternoon for me, so it's daylight right now. As you can tell, my energy is going to be doubled inside of this stream because I'm not super tired at 5 in the morning casting. So fair warning if we break your eardrums as we jump into these games. I mean, you saw the amazing introduction from Wolf's introduction. Now, talking about AP BREN, right? Let's kind of dive a little bit more into that. So far, we've been seeing a couple of key players rise to the occasion. Flat Teasy on the CC, normally picking it up, having such a great impact on kind of harassing members, creating the separation from the mobility and taking the neutral objectives. You've seen Super Marco pulling out the Navaria. He was able to take down Twisted Minds twice and also used it up against the Homeboys and shut them down. Both of them, just some heavy key players so far that are going to have to be looked out for if they want to have a shot to actually take them down inside of this series. You're definitely going to have to bring your A game from RRQ Hoshi.
AP BREN is a team that is known to activate themselves not individually but as a team. And although that sounds very cliche, right? But if you really dive into the games of AP BREN, there's no hero, there's no game that was won by AP BREN because there's someone who pretends to be a hero, and I'm not saying like a hero in game, but a hero, right? Who wants to go for those hero plays. Whenever they try to do that, they usually lose the games. And if you look at the M5 World Championship, whenever they go for individual solo flashy plays and rely on that kind of strategy, doesn't work. But if they activate as a team, where everybody's just making sure that everybody else is working. Because they are activated by someone else, like the gold laner being activated by the roamer, or the mid laner making sure that the jungle is able to rotate properly by clearing out the minion wave in the middle. And then when they do team fight, it's all connected. That's the main strength of AP BREN. I think that's very visible in their series against Homeboys. You saw how perfectly AP BREN played against Homeboys because they played as a team. And that is how you actually force AP BREN. This is actually a tip for RRQ Hoshi. If you want to defeat AP BREN, what you need to do is to force them to make the hero plays, right? So isolate them from the map, make sure that there's a 1v1 play that might happen between you and AP BREN, and then all of a sudden the rotation might crumble. But that's hard to do.
Yeah, and speaking of things popping up on the game and what to expect, we are seeing the Nolan banned out first from RQ Hoshi alongside the Mathilda. A little bit textbook. We've seen the Nolan deal a lot of early game damage, just being able to rotate around that jungle and be a menace. The Mathilda, I feel like it's one of those more staple bans that we've been seeing so far. Everybody's scared for that mobility, sustainability that she provides, and very hard to kind of keep up with. But you spoke a little bit about AP BREN and what RQ Hoshi could do to take them down. But let's talk about the other side of the board. What could our AP BREN do to take RQ Hoshi down? Now, I would say it's going to start with taking down Skylar and Banana in the side lanes. Because so far, I had the pleasure of kind of casting Group A and watching their entire journey so far. And they've pretty much every single time won in the side lanes. You'd see Banana rotating around, seeing the Benedetta, able to cut the lanes, get the neutral objectives, and create the separation for the Lord fights. But then also at the same point, you got to see Skylar. Normally, he's beating that marksman one-on-one in the gold lane, and then even when things don't look in their favor, he pulls out a Layla last minute and still is able to pull off the victory. So, I mean, they definitely have a lot of momentum behind them, and that's something AP BREN is going to have to watch out for.
And this is the thing for RRQ Hoshi. They have Coach Red now working for them as their head coach. Obviously, a very important tool in deciding these drafts, and him knowing what AP BREN's wiring will be, that's a very interesting dynamic. Surely there's a new coach in town for AP BREN, so maybe the dynamic will be a little bit different. But the fact that for Coach BREN, he knew from the start what made AP BREN successful, especially during the M5 World Championship, where their draft was really tailored to make it work for Kyle TZ as well as Super Marco, right? So that would be the dynamic. And now going back to what you just said about the side lanes of RQ Hoshi, and yes, I did observe that their drafting pattern is more lean towards winning the side lanes matchup per matchup, so that they don't have to worry about it, and now they can refocus their efforts into making sure that the mid lane trio moves quickly. So now AP BREN, I think that they might go for Arlott this time, and knowing that Arlott is one of those heroes that really like it, it's an open pick. That might be the way for them to go. Apart from that, Nana is open, as well as Ruby, which is interestingly the hero of choice for Games of the Future.
You know, and speaking of things that are interesting, some smart drafting from RQ Hoshi, right? I mean, we got to see AP BREN. They were favoring the CC in majority of their games so far in Game of Futures. So they went ahead and took it away from them inside of this first pickup. And then to top it off, we kind of look at their ban so far. They banned out the Navaria, one of the hottest picks so far over there for AP BREN, and taking that off the board is going to kind of limit some of the heroes that we've seen them shine on so far in Game of Futures 2024. But there's still another pick out there. That was the Faramis being slotted up, so they will have that sustainability that they're looking for, and then some good frontline composition as well, as they are going to lock in the box yet.
Yeah, a very interesting choice here for AP BREN, going in straight for the utility jungler. Obviously, the Nolan as well as Joy is out, but their choice now is go for what works, right? So we're not yet over the phase of the utility junglers. We're not over the Fredrin, Baksha, Martis triangle that we have. As long as Joy and Nolan both banned out, there's really no other merit for teams to go for, not have access to other XP laners that can actually take down the HP bars of this Faramis or the extra HP from the ultimate. But Lilia is a great answer, and this is really such a BREN pattern. Like pick up the Lilia, match up against the Faramis. We're all back in the M5 meta. It's just that CC is on the table.
Yeah, and CC definitely being on the table is going to create some problems. Now, looking at AP BREN, I mean, they got the sustainability, they have the crowd control, they have mobility provided from the Boxy as well, and some great, strong frontline compositions. We're going to have to see who they put in as the marksman. Now, speaking of the marksman, we've been seeing Super Marco kind of dominate. He's been running the Claude, the carry.
Yeah.
We also got to see him on the Brody with some great gameplay. All three of these heroes inside of his hands are a problem, and we'll need to have some answers. But speaking of answers, they're going to throw some more CC and sustainability into the mix. AP BREN picking up the Ruby. Now, that's definitely going to be something that could give RRQ Hoshi a problem.
Yeah. This is a hero that can step into the bush, maybe tank some of the glooms coming up from Lilia, although not fully. Doesn't really care about pokes. Because if you're looking at RRQ Hoshi, right, just with the two heroes, with CC as well as Lilia, they have a lot of damage, but they're not the burst kind of damage. And I mean, you can argue that for the Lilia if you set up properly, but if you think about it, it still is under the stereotype or the archetype of poke, right? Maybe the only tier coming out from RRQ Hoshi is the Tyroth, which makes a lot of sense against the Baksha. But if you're looking at AP BREN, because they're a sustained lineup, pokes will not work. Maybe RRQ Hoshi will look for big bursts from their marksman now. So maybe they closed this out with a carry, for example, or somewhere along the lines of a Nathan, actually, which I'm not entirely sure if RRQ Hoshi have played or mastered before, but it is a hero that you can actually put here against the composition of AP BREN. Because it's a Faramis plus the Ruby, as well as the Baksha, you would assume that this could be a front-to-back kind of composition coming up from AP BREN.
Yeah, definitely could be a strong answer. I mean, the only other marksman that we haven't seen, I would say really Mage, but ran in the gold lane position. We did see them pull out the Hareth. A lot of teams have been banning that away from them. And I don't think it would be the worst option to be able to pick up here. So I wonder if they're going to kind of ban that out. We are seeing the Minotaur, though, taken off the table. I mean, I think that's a good answer, especially with the Diggy not being banned out. It could be some great CC that could give AP BREN a problem. I mean, considering they are running the Faramis, so they're going to have to be kind of stacked together in these engagements to be able to profit from that Nether Realm. But speaking about profiting, right, we're still yet to see who they're going to be running in the gold lane positions from either side. Now, we know the staple marksmen that are usually kind of picked up is that Claude, is that Brody, which just got banned out. A possible Clint on the way for AP BREN could be a viable answer. All of these have definitely been, say, some problems. And I wouldn't just say for just these two teams, but overall, just one of the most highly picked marksmen in Game of Futures 2024.
Yeah, for sure. And that could be a priority now for AP BREN. Maybe they pick up their marksman now because they want to keep the Ruby's flexibility from Rome as well as EXP. Maybe they snatch the Nathan, actually, because it makes a lot of sense against CC, in a way against this Lilia, because you can really dodge that so easily. And then it's a hero that is okay if there's like poke from the other side. But instead they go Pakiro instantly from AP BREN. That confirms the Ruby from that's going to be the Rome role here. RRQ Hoshi needs a little bit of burst type of marksman, right? So they banned the Brody. Maybe they go carry, but carry is generally not the hero against a Faramis. So I'm thinking like Beatrix or Nathan, actually, from RRQ Hoshi.
I'll throw one more at you. Maybe even throwing in the Bruno may actually slide in here. They've definitely been kind of going in on that, and I wonder which way it's going to go. I think burst potential is definitely what they need, especially against this strong frontline composition. I mean, you have the Ruby, the Baksha. Oh my goodness, Skylar again! It's because you have the richest caster on the desk. That's what's going on. $1 million caster,
What?
$1 million Layla.
No! Oh my goodness, I can't believe that they'll do it against BREN. But it worked before. It is a great laning, generally against most marksmen, just because of the range. And then they go Kufra. All right, so they force RRQ Hoshi to really dig into the bag of tricks of Brusco now. And maybe this is something that I'll talk about later on. Look at AP BREN's last two bans. It's Haka Brusco. They're minimizing what Brusco can play, forcing him to go for the Kufra. And then the Kufra is not necessarily a bad hero, but it doesn't really give anything in the mid lane. It will not protect the Lilia. It will not force out the Faramis because they're going to be safe. And then the Ruby is just able to scout out where Kufra is. That's the thing with the Ruby, right? So you can mirror where the Kufra is, and the Kufra can't do anything. Like, cannot initiate because you'll always be in front of that Kufra. There's the Clint, as you've mentioned. better range against the Layla just because of the passive. Definitely a lot more outplay potential compared to the Layla. And very strong when it comes to team fighting in the early stages of the game. Massive chance for them to take this. So this is actually a pretty good draft between two teams. I'm excited to see what the Layla can bring to the table.
And I'm just as thrilled as you are. We didn't get to see that last pick for what they're going to slot against the Layla in the gold lane. You know, when I tried to guess the last time, that's when the Layla came out. We don't know yet. As we're going to jump to the Land of Dawn, we'll definitely let you guys know. But nonetheless, we're up for a great match in today's first series of the day, stepping into the virtual arena. We are in the semifinals for Game of Futures 2024. We're going to be seeing Indonesia up against AP BREN, holding the banner from Indonesia and holding the banner for the Philippines. The last Filipino team standing so far as Blacklist was knocked down. Will we be able to see AP BREN push on forward to the grand final? Or will we see RRQ Hoshi rise to the occasion?
Gonna be close. Is this how BREN defeats his former team? Right? Is it the Layla that we will see in this particular matchup that eventually overcomes AP BREN? We'll be able to find out. For now, I'm looking at the matchups in all of the lanes. First off, Clint versus Layla. I gotta say, like, maybe it's still Clint favored, like if it's a pure 1v1, just because of the passive. And that's always been the case for Clint. He can win the laning stage just because of the passive. And I'm sure that Super Marco is pretty much able to be adept with that hero. Now we're looking at the other end. It's Paquito going up against the CC. Now this is like very tricky. It still is matchup based, but I gotta say it's probably is CC favored in a way that it's easier for the CC to do well against the Paquito. It's not a win per se, but it's a much easier for that one. But now Few.
Yeah, it's going to rush in a little bit of damage in the mid lane. I love how you kind of broke down some of these matchups, right? I mean, when we're looking at the Layla, we know it's a really late game damage dealer that can close the game out if you let her kind of get those items. And also, I always like to call it a glass cannon, right? Very squishy in the beginning, easy to kill if you can dive. And that should be a focus for AP BREN if they do want to shut down Skylar. Because, I mean, we all seen how this played out before, right? So can AP BREN be the difference and not have the same thing happen to them? As you are seeing a big flash in the mid lane, not able to connect with the Abysm Strike with some early aggression from RRQ Hoshi.
We haven't really talked much about this Darath, but I do like this pickup. Third pick coming up from RRQ Hoshi. After the Baksha was already revealed, they're confident enough to go for the jungle Darath, which we know is a direct answer to the Baksha, right? So it has enough burst to counteract the sustain that you can get from the Baksha, and there is no hero from AP BREN, even the Ruby, that can stay in front of that Darath.
Yeah, speaking of staying in front of things, everybody fighting it out in front of the turtle. It does get reset. NetherRealm activated over there, trying to keep the team alive. Few being able to proc it. Ogwin will find Irad, though, does take down the Dirath we were just talking about, meaning RQ Hoshi will not have the retribution, and the first objective will go to AP BREN.
I see AP BREN, after the Vengeance was popped from Banana, immediately they dropped it like it's a very hot plate. And then they went in back for the Faramis ultimate, which allowed them to eventually take out Irad. And after the dash from the Dirath, that is the main weakness of the hero, by the way, no immediate dash afterwards. Oh my god, that's the problem. That's the problem with Kufra, right? It doesn't really actually protect teammates anymore, especially if you start the fight with the jump.
You kind of called it, the ace in the hole that they need to look out for. The Kufra could be a possible problem trying to protect Sky. I mean, some great setups from Ogwin, hitting them with the I'm offended. A lot of chain CC from that Ruby, and also sustainability to stay alive when that Layla's trying to burst him down. With Super Marco taking up that kill, we'll put him at a slight advantage. You know, he's trying to kind of scale a little bit better than a Layla. We mentioned if they can take down Skylar in the early phase, this is where you see the glass cannon of Layla kind of break down.
See the Ruby as well coming up from Ogwin, not even needing the flicker in that moment. That's gonna be hurtful for RQ Hoshi, but that's also something that Brusco has to learn from now. He has to really delegate himself and his skills to save his teammates and not initiate for now, because they don't have that license to start the fights. Maybe if they have the conceal already, that's when they can probably make a play out of the Kufra. But for now, your duty as this Kufra from Brusco, is just for protecting your teammates.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of protecting teammates, I mean, we did see it go to a 30-minute game the last time RQ Hoshi had the Layla. So even though they were kind of getting a lot of objectives taken from them and having a hard time, they were able to still sustain themselves until Skylar got all of those items necessary. And then he was able to get the game winner to close out the game. So AP BREN, even though they have the slight advantage, 2 kills up, we need to see them kind of close it out. That's where Deus Foots kind of struggled up against the Layla. Even though they dominated in the early phase, in the mid game, they just couldn't close the game out. And then that's when Skylar came alive. But right now, AP BREN sitting really good in the early phase of things.
If you look back 20 or 30 seconds ago, you can see AP BREN's micro rotation, wherein they went in for the crab play, and they gave it to Super Marco, another catch in the middle.
Yeah, big knockup for the stun, hitting Kyle TZ and Few, forcing out the Nether Realm, keeping the team alive. Abysm Strike, not going to deal the damage Irad was looking for, and back to the purple buff he goes. Vengeance proc by Banana, very low, will disengage into the mid lane.
And that's actually what Brusco needs to be doing. Imagine if he initiated first, he couldn't have defended his teammates. However, Irad wanted to go for the play when there is still the Faramist ultimate. And unfortunately for RQ Hoshi, this is the power spike for AP BREN. When you have the backshot that at the first turtle, it's gonna be great.
Ooh. Speaking of things that are great, massive damage. Destruction Rush able to connect onto Ogwen from Skylar. You're already seeing how heavy of a hitter that Layla can be. Irad trying to close the distance. Abysm Strike onto Super Marco, but now hit with the stun. Kyle TZ hiding the damage, slowing him down, trying to get a pick off. Down he goes. Few will take down Irad on the aggressive back lane play, and that'll be 3 kills on the board for AP BREN.
Oh man, Irad just overheating up top. You'll understand why he went for that play. He knows that Super Marco is there, but Ogwen, even with just a quarter HP or even less, he went for the heads-up play to stun Irad so that Super Marco will be able to attack for a bit, maybe lifesteal a bit, get out into safety, and then Kyle TZ jumped into the fray. That one weird interaction is that Brusco didn't immediately jump with the Tyrant's Revenge. He waited for far too long, and that might have been the reason why Irad actually did not survive that. Because he's already in range, right, to stop his teammate, but that costed them a death on Irad. So sometimes those trade-offs, even if you maybe sacrifice your life as the Kufra, you're gonna be way better off if Irad survived that play. So that is something that really is gonna be the dilemma for RQ Hoshi.
Speaking of dilemmas, we kind of talked about earlier in the draft things AP BREN could do to shut down RQ Hoshi, and it was definitely putting some discomfort in the gold lane and the XP lane, taking down Skylar, taking Banana. They found a kill on Skylar, and they were also able to extend the gold lead for their marksman. He's now up 1,000 gold, Super Marco over him. But speaking about the lanes, Few will find Skylar, and you are seeing the chase on a Brusco. Flap TZ gonna hit him with the heavy left punch. That is gonna be 2 more kills for the side of AP BREN, and now a 4,000 gold lead.
Whew. It's gonna bite him, and even Octa has to run away for now. And they're gonna be going for the turtle. I think this is AP BREN's. Oh, Irad! Okay, never mind. Okay, the mechanic, working on it.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, while they got the turtle on the bot side, though, you did see Flap TZ take that tier 2 turret. So they have map control for the side AP BREN and also a great gold lead. Even though they didn't claim that turtle, I would still say overall that's a better trade for them, which is how far ahead they are for RQ Hoshi. They need to start translating some of these objectives in their favor, right? Maybe opening up the map would be a great start, because I don't know if AP BREN's the type of team that's going to let them take it to a 30-minute game like Day is Full.
Yeah, AP BREN is known to go for the, you know, like in the movies, go for the head. You should have aimed for that. That's definitely what AP BREN is trying to do almost all the time, especially the way that they're drafting. And then you really have to commend AP BREN from their previous rotations. Like every rotation, be it micro or macro rotation, benefits the team in general. Like for example, what I said earlier, when they went in for the play up top for Super Marco to give him the gold wrap. That's you know, that looks like a small play, but if you compound all of those plays all together, you can see AP BREN really just dominating the map afterwards. Then after this before the turtle fight, they moved in a way that they were able to poke RQ Hoshi, they were able to poke Octa. Then that meant that they can push easily. Another play.
Yeah, big play on the way. Super Marco will find Banana. They opted in on the conceal play, just went straight forward as a full 5-man team to be able to take him down. Used a lot of utility, though, but was able to extend that kill lead now 6-0. I mean, this gold is steady climbing. They're up by like 6,000 gold now, 3 turrets in, 2 above RRQ Hoshi. RRQ Hoshi has yet to find a kill so far in this entire game. As we are hitting that 10-minute mark, a little bit of a struggle in today's matchup. But like we said, RRQ Hoshi, when they pick up the Layla, they're banking on the late game. We know we're going to lose a little bit in the early phase, in the mid phase even, but if we can hold off, they can turn this around. But AP BREN, like you said, going straight for the head, cutting the head off the Serpent. What they're looking to do, trying to shut him down. You are going to see big setup, though. Banana taking the half HP. Kyle Teasy going in for the kill. Flap Teasy joining him. We'll take him down. Netherrealm to keep AP BREN alive. Flap Teasy will find Irad with heavy left punch. 2 members falling for RRQ Hoshi, and the Lord Pit has been controlled by AP BREN. But can we see RRQ Hoshi turn this around? No. Looks like they are going to have to disengage. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the damage. And they're also too far behind in the economy.
It can now be proven that AP BREN is the tournament's tempo controller. Oh, Brusco with a play.
Ooh, rushes in on the Skylar. Flap Teasy. Did it. The dynamic duo in effect. Brusco very low, makes his way into the tier 2 turret, which may open up the opportunity for Ogwin to try and push in. But you are seeing Octa over there. Both teams fighting out. Now going over to that purple buff for a slight invasion. Man, overall, such a great game for AP BREN. RRQ Hoshi, what do they do to turn this around?
Well, they have to regain the tempo at the very least. Second, if they can't do that, the only other option here is to just survive this mid game. Just make sure that you don't lose your base. Maybe try to win when everyone is locked 23 minutes. But that's very difficult to do.
Yeah, definitely going to be a challenge. Destruction Rush going out from Skylar, trying to clear those minions. Not even enough damage to do that. Down goes the tier 2 turret in the mid lane. And now you're looking at RRQ Hoshi stripped down to their inhibitors.
Yeah. Going to be difficult now for RRQ Hoshi for sure. I gotta say, there was this play that AP BREN did again in the mid lane where Super Marco looked to be alone in the mid lane when he's pushing, but already Flap Teasy is pushing that is already positioned in that bush near the mid lane, so that left side of the turret. That's why even after the initiation coming out from Brusco with the Flicker Tyrant's Revenge, and we know that Octa is there for damage, AP BREN was prepared. This tells us that whatever AP BREN is doing, they're doing the buddy system, or at the very least they're making a macro play for it. In that specific case, like look at the bush that Counties is holding. And if somebody shows himself in the mid lane, it's an ambush, right? So nobody from AP BREN is ever alone. They will not make the play that looks like they're isolated. This is championship caliber team that you're seeing. They have plans every time that they're trying to move.
And this is kind of looking similar to the game with Deus Volt up against RRQ Hoshi when RRQ Hoshi picked up the Layla of Skylar. And the problem was Deus Volt was not able to close the game out, even with this massive boost in the economy and the objectives overall on the map. But AP BREN letting the world know, hey, we are the champions, and we planned to let it stay that way, as they are going to go in with the concealed play. Kyle Teasy initiating onto RRQ Hoshi. A double stun. Black Teasy will find Irad. One member falling. And it looks like RRQ Hoshi will be forced back into the base. AP BREN in total control.
Wow. 10-0. And the grip is not loosening at all. You see RRQ Hoshi being desperate for farm. They're trying to do everything that they can just to get the farm. And all things considered, Irad might have gone for the only play possible. Yeah, obviously he died, but then again, AP BREN knew exactly that will happen. And now Lord Fight, no retribution for RRQ Hoshi.
Yeah, Brusco winding up, decides to hit a quick 180. Wasn't able to find the opportunity. Skylar trying to get the steal, unable to connect with the Destruction Rush. AP BREN will claim this Lord, and a body of Super Marco will take down Brusco. I would call that a 2-for-none trade. And right now, we haven't seen RRQ Hoshi really take any objectives, no kills. And so far, it's been more of a reactionary side of things for them. AP BREN just controlling the tempo.
You nailed the right term for RRQ Hoshi. Yeah, they're reactionary, heavily reactive. They're not making the heads-up play, right? They're not making a play. That's what I'm trying to say here for RRQ Hoshi. They're always just reacting to what AP BREN is doing, and that is how you know a team has controlled the tempo, right? So whatever is happening to RRQ Hoshi right now, it's not entirely their fault. It's AP BREN just forcing them to be in that spot. AP BREN are so active, and they're taking control of the tempo so quickly.
Yeah, speaking about taking control, stepping into the base for RRQ Hoshi for a possible early finish. AP BREN trying to seize the opportunity, but the Lord is getting bursted down. It has now fallen, and out of the base, AP BREN goes. Now, it is now 15 minutes in, getting to that 15-minute mark. Like we said, the later the game goes, the better it'll be for RRQ Hoshi to be able to turn this around. Wind of Nature picked up from Super Marco, definitely getting ready to kind of take that fight and negate the physical damage, as you are seeing them possibly go in to try and take some of these remaining inhibitor turrets.
AP BREN very disciplined in this push, even when they're leading by so much. Gonna try to dive and flap easy with the halberd. That's gonna be deadly. I mean, that is your way of dealing with the Layla, even in the latter portions of the game, even in the late game. Surely the Wind of Nature for Skylar will be key, and I think that he will pick that up later on. But imagine in a refreshed team fight, that halberd pickup coming out from Flap TZ is gonna destroy Skylar.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard, right, for the side of RRQ Hoshi to turn this around. I mean, Brusco, off to a rough start, not really able to find the opportunities for the sets he was looking for. And it's going to be a challenge, especially going up against Ogwin on this Ruby. I mean, even if he tries to hit a Tyrant's Revenge or Tyrant's Rage, for a group setup, I mean, Ogwin just has to provide a little bit of chain CC to kind of stop him in his tracks. And I feel like that's a little bit of the struggle we've been seeing so far for him to be able to get those setups that RRQ Hoshi is baiting for.
Yeah. I'm coming up of ways for RRQ Hoshi to come back from this game. The number one option, obviously, is just to rely on the late game of Layla, which is honestly not a bad idea if you think about it. I mean, that's their only way. There's really no other way for them to win this game apart from really depend on Skylar and his immense amount of damage in the late game. So how do they get to that point? My magic number is 23 minutes, where everybody's just, you know, farmed out. Everybody's just locked item, and it wouldn't matter if you lose one inhibitor or maybe all of your inhibitors. It wouldn't matter as long as you keep your base, and your defense will be there. You have the Lilia anyways to breach you into that late game because you have wave clear. Then again, will AP BREN allow that? Because so far, AP BREN, they have now the luxury to go for banana.
Yeah, gonna go ahead and do the banana splits. Super Marco taking him down. Ice Cream Sunday. We'll be able to find one member, RRQ Hoshi. Tried to get that contest on that last-minute Lord still. Didn't really work out in his favor, and that's going to put RRQ Hoshi in a disposition in this team fight.
Really questionable play coming up from Banana, going for that. I mean, they have already conceded the Lord. It didn't have to really look into that Lord, knowing that there's a lot of catch from AP BREN. You have Kyle TZ, and you have Ogun with the Flicker, and Flap TZ. Then you're a CC with only one legitimate dash. So, really questionable play coming up from Banana out there.
Yeah, and AP BREN holding the banner for the Philippines, trying to find their first game of the day up against Indonesia RRQ Hoshi. But some great defense. They were able to burst down that Lord to hold off AP BREN from closing out this game a second time. Mentioned that 23 mark being the time that we are going to be looking to for RRQ Hoshi to have the damage necessary with all the late game items for Skylar to turn this around. Trust in Layla, the $1 million baby in the scenes, could make the difference.
AP BREN are going to be disciplined once more. I want to keep this 12-0 love set as much as possible, and you'll understand why. RRQ Hoshi going to have to really commend their defense. Even when it was 4v5, they were able to keep Skylar safe. That's always going to be the case. And like I said, the Lilia is the bridge for them to get into the late game. You can set up your bombs. But now, Kautizi wants to fight. Oh my God.
Octa very low, trying to get away. Use the black shoes. Ogwin on the chase, but a massive damage output. Netherrealm going down. Super Marco will find Brusco. Few takes down Octa. Two members down from the side of RRQ Hoshi. Make that a third as Super Marco gets another. Is going to go ahead and shut down Irad, leaving Skylar and Banana, the side laners who've been dealing so much damage in Game of Futures 2024 by themselves. AP BREN, Kyle TZ will shut down the $1 million baby. Skylar will fall. Banana trying to get away, but running the wrong direction. Looks like he won't be able to contest. They're just going to let him get out of there. He's not going to be able to recall back. Still will get the kill and a full wipeout against RRQ Hoshi. AP BREN takes game number 1.
That is a clinic from AP BREN. This is how you win as a team. Absolutely perfect rotations in the early stages. Even their calculated takes on those crabs just to allow for Super Marco to have an extra launch pad going up against his matchup. And they played out the draft really well. This Clint, the last pick coming out from AP BREN was perfect because it solved that Layla problem when it comes to the laning stage. Make it really difficult from Skylar to stay up top. And that also called the attention of the Kufra. And we can see through the highlights how that happened again. Look at them go with the Faramis ultimate on Few. Perfect activation, and Irad was already in behind enemy lines. You can see Brusco just charging up far too late, and that allowed Few to catch up. Few was able to take out Irad, and these indecisions coming out from RRQ Hoshi just really bit them in the end.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
my God.
AP BREN just having such execution. You see Few taking out Skylar. Brusco having a hard time finding those sets the team was kind of relying on and didn't really have the easiest composition to be able to pull it off, especially having to kind of protect Skylar on the Layla. Some great domination inside of all the neutral objective areas, taking the Lords, taking the Turtles, and also being able to invade and claim majority of the turrets with little to no problem. Like you kind of mentioned in the beginning of things, RRQ Hoshi was very reactionary, just letting the AP BREN dominate, and it didn't really build up to a turnaround that they were looking for. And I think they were kind of banking on AP BREN playing a little bit similar to Deus Volts, not being able to close it out toward that before that 23-minute mark, looking for that power spike. But unfortunately, that plan did not work in their favor, and AP BREN letting the world know, hey, we're the world champions. We're the last team standing for the Philippines. Ain't no way we're letting the Layla take us out.
I can see the last play of the game for AP BREN a little bit from now. And they kind of smelled that RRQ Hoshi overstayed outside their base just for, what, 10 or 15 seconds? And already punishing them for that. Even after some of the defense from RRQ Hoshi, even before the fight broke out, I already know that this is going to be a bad decision from RRQ Hoshi. And what I'm trying to say here is, at this point, 18 minutes, there is no license for RRQ Hoshi to get out of their base. They're basically quarantined inside their base, and they don't have the pass from the government to let them out. That's exactly what they should be thinking during that moment. And it only took one sniff from both Ogwin as well as Kyle Kesey to know that, okay, they're out of their base. This is our opening. And that's exactly what happened. AP BREN destroying and outplaying RRQ Hoshi just because of the fact that they're more experienced, as well as they have the better tempo control. They knew exactly how to deal with this composition, and they've punished duly. Our MVP is Super Marco, and I mean, we cannot really contest that. He played so well in this game, very much on point with his laning, as well as his positioning, and the damage dealt as well from this Clint.
And some great setups to get him to that MVP over there from Ogwin on the Ruby to make that possible. I mean, look at Ogwin right there. His stats are on the board, 11 assists. But I got to give credit to Few and Kyle Kesey as well, as they were right behind Ogwin, just showing you how much synergy AP BREN has compared to a lot of other teams. You mentioned RRQ Hoshi, newer on the scene, still a really good team. They've been taking the world by surprise, and I know Indonesia's proud on how they've been performing so far. But AP BREN, they're the world champions, right? They definitely have been playing a little bit longer and have earned that title from M5. And they don't plan on going down without a fight. Now, that is only game number one. This is a best of 3, so there is still a chance for RRQ Hoshi to be able to turn this around. But I don't see them pulling out the Layla again. I don't really think it worked out. I feel like even if they went in with Brusco on a different roamer to be able to kind of protect her a little bit better, the early game objectives and even toward the mid phase from AP BREN is very hyper-focused. It's fast, and you can't have more of a passive play style against it. They need something that can either match the aggression from the side of AP BREN or beat them to the punch.
Yeah. My God, look at that difference when it comes to the farm. Yeah, it's well, it really isn't like Skylar's fault that happened. It was mainly because of the movements that we saw from AP BREN. I think that I've already said it twice when we were casting, but I'm gonna say it again. The micro and macro rotations coming out from AP BREN were perfect. The way that they're setting up each other to be able to get the most out of the time that they're given. For example, when they tried to also go for the push into the bottom lane together with the turtle, even when Red was able to snatch the turtle, their movements were so good that there wasn't any counter from the team. Then, when they tried to go for the push in the middle with Super Marco looking like he was alone, and obviously that's never gonna happen. A gold laner in the mid lane at the early stages of the game, pushing that turret, it's impossible that he's alone, right? And then Brusco kind of felt like, okay, maybe we can do it. Octa is here anyways. But Octa was just, he didn't realize that the only hero that can defend Super Marco in that play, it's not the Ruby, it's actually the Paquito with the Flicker, be able to take down that Lilia very quickly to the point where the Lilia will not be able to pop the black shoes. I cannot remember if the black shoes was actually popped afterwards, but the point is, there is a way to defend Super Marco in that spot. So it's more like, okay, do we actually think that Super Marco is alone here? Obviously, he's not alone. That cannot happen against an M5 championship team. That will never happen. And that might be, that is definitely the reason why AP BREN won that game. Every single play that they did, they had a plan in mind.
Yeah, definitely having a plan every step of the way. You could just tell how synergized their compositions were, the way they were focusing on these objectives. Every time they found a member by themselves from the side of RRQ Hoshi, they didn't waste any time. Instant conceal play, all full man team, full sending for the kill every single time. It didn't matter how far ahead they were on the board. They know, hey, we have the numbers. These little small objectives is what will make the difference toward that mid phase. And especially if they have a Layla, we can't let them get to the late game. So these little things matter. And honestly, just some great execution from them inside of that match. Now, looking at the side of RQ Hoshi, right? I mean, this is a different game that we've seen from Skylar and Brusco. When Skylar has to play the Layla, he's required to kind of play really far back in that lane and kind of be very passive. Normally, we see him take the fight a little bit more inside of the gold lane, be more aggressive, and also have some survivability. We know Layla is one of the few marksmen that lacks mobility and survivability in that lane, requires the roamer to kind of babysit and protect her at all times. And Skylar was the first kill of the game, and as a marksman, as a gold laner, that's definitely not something you want, especially before the first turtle spawning in and on a late game marksman that's supposed to kind of carry you through the way. So I think maybe stepping into game number 2 for Skylar, maybe we see some of the pickups that we've seen him kind of dominate on so far in the Game of Futures 2024. We've seen him on the Claude, we've seen him on the Beatrix. All some viable options can definitely take him to the next level up against AP BREN.
Yeah, you can see now why the Ruby is one of the top choices for the teams. Obviously, when other teams used it, it didn't look as if it's a top tier play. In fact, the win rate of Ruby is very, very low. But when they're played by someone like Ogwen and AP BREN as a team, where there's a set rotation, it looks wonderful. And I'm gonna say this because the choice for RQ Hoshi was for the Kufra. Although we know for sure that Brusco knows how to play that hero, they were put in a spot where they had to choose a roamer for Brusco that's number 1, not meta, and number 2, cannot accomplish anything close to what a Ruby can accomplish, right? So if you remember that first blood, I said that the Kufra should be delegated in the spot where you're a defensive hero now. Because what they did was to initiate with the Tyrant's Revenge, the first kill of the Kufra, charged up, actually hit Super Marco, but because it's the early game, Layla cannot take out Super Marco in a span of few seconds. Because when Brusco jumped, there's no angle for an ultimate anyways, and I don't think that the ultimate was available anyways at the time. So what I'm trying to say here is that surely they hit their shots with the Kufra, but that does not accomplish anything. Didn't even poke Kufra. That meant that when that was communicated, Ogwen already knew that there's no defense at all. There's no bouncing ball that can stop the Ruby to go for the play and actually snag Skylar, right? So that is where you struggle. Maybe if they kind of change their minds during that clash, right? For the Kufra to just maybe run in front of Super Marco and just hit him, just be a nuisance in that case. And then maybe reserve the bouncing ball as well as the first kill for when the Ruby is actually there to target his own teammate. Maybe things would have been different, right? The first blood might not have been for the Layla. So the summary of what I'm trying to say here is that the delegation of tasks wasn't there for the side of RRQ Hoshi. That's why they struggled. And there are so much limitations on the Kufra that now if you compare it to Ruby, the Ruby can accomplish so much more than a Kufra would.
And it's the same thing with the Layla and a Clint as well. Just so much that a Clint can accomplish that the Layla can't. So like you said, they were limiting themselves in terms of these objectives, in terms of the laning phase, and that's what kind of costed them up against AP BREN in game number 1. Now, there's a lot of sustainability on the table, and I got to give credit over there to AP BREN on how well they executed with racking up those assists, right? I mean, you had few rushing in every time we seen, because they had early game damage from the side of RRQ Hoshi. They not only had a Lilia, but they went Irad on the Dairoth inside of the jungle, which was a great answer, like you mentioned, over to Kyle TZ on the Boxia. But again, as soon as he rushed in, he either had Ogwyn by his side to kind of CC the Dairoth, cancel out the Abysm Strike, and if he wasn't there, no worries, Few would kind of snip into the scene and get that Netherrealm activated to be able to keep the team alive even when the Abysm Strike would connect. And that was just some great execution on the 5v5 engagements. And with them being behind in the economy, with Skylar falling so early, not being able to take these turtles, it was a recipe for disaster inside of game number 1, especially against considered the best team in the world right now, holding that M Series title. Now, game number 2, we got to see how this kind of plays out for them, right? I don't expect them to pop the Layla again. I expect to see the RRQ Hoshi that I've been seeing so far in the group stages for Games of Future, and also inside of the quarterfinals, where they actually go in for more pickups that they don't rely on protecting their marksman as much. They're not really as reactionary, but they can take that fight into the jungle, onto those turtles, even possibly invade where necessary, and that's where they can kind of turn this around. Because if not, then we will be seeing AP BREN push on forward, the last standing team out of the Philippines, taking out one of the 2 teams currently still in the mix for Indonesia.
Yeah. If I were to guess, I think that maybe the reaction here for RRQ Hoshi is to actually prioritize the hero for Mr. Brusco. Maybe just, put it in the first phase. Get the Ruby as much as possible, or maybe secure the Minotaur, right? Those kinds of heroes, so that Brusco will have a lot more impact. But oh my god, the Ruby was already... Because AP BREN knows that they are first pick. So you saw from the previous game, Ruby is such a good red side hero wherein you first pick it or first phase pick it. It's quite open. That will be the priority now. The Haka Brusco strat might be the thing for AP BREN for them to low-key win the drafting against RRQ Hoshi.
Yeah, and they may end up banning for RRQ Hoshi. The CC could definitely be a problem. You don't want AP BREN to be able to pick that up. That is a staple pick over there for RRQ Hoshi to be able to deal some damage. You know what else is on the table, though? The Benedetta that we've seen dominate over there into the hands of Banana. It got a backdoor play in the group stage to be able to close out one of these games. The mobility is just very hard to match up with Banana. So either a CC or a Benedetta could definitely be a strong pickup for the side of RRQ Hoshi if AP BREN lets this slide through the current draft. Another good pickup would be something like the... oh, actually, it's banned out. They took out the Navari. I was going to say that's definitely a strong option. But something else that we've seen from last game, the Faramis is still on the table.
The Faramis, that could be valid first pick for AP BREN. That kind of team will not hesitate picking up the Faramis just because of how Few is great with the hero. Another hero that they take away from Brusco as well as Irad is the Guinevere. This will definitely be a trend for AP BREN as they want to take this series 2-0. Just take away all of those heroes that will make it comfortable for both Irad as well as Brusco. Faramis is open, like you said. This could be the first pick. Indeed, it will be. RRQ Hoshi. Do they go for Lilia already this time? CC is open, but I think they go Lilia. Actually, Minotaur. There's something in me that says that maybe the Minotaur is going to be first phase picked here by RRQ Hoshi.
100% CC first pick for RRQ Hoshi. And then I do agree with you for those additional picks as they go back in. Oh, whoa, the Minotaur. Okay, but
still got it.
Diggy's still on the table. So do they go in for more of a frontline jungler for the side of AP BREN and pull out the Diggy to kind of counteract that CC? Or they're not even going to go the Diggy at all, considering there is a Fredrin on the table, which could definitely overwhelm the time journey.
Yeah, AP BREN might not really consider that. Maybe they'll be happy about the Fairness. Of course, it will be considered, but maybe the latter portions of the game. For their priority should be maybe a burst type, or maybe a Brody, in fact, for AP BREN. Very quickly go for the Brody this time so that they secure that. Oh, decent versus the Fredrin and the Minotaur all together. Then I'm thinking Arlet actually for AP BREN, because that's usually what they pick up against this Fredrin, and there it is, the Brody.
That's why you're the $1 million caster right there. Look at that $1 million prediction over there. Brody does get slotted up. I think it's a great answer, especially against a heavy frontline composition. I mean, teams that like to dive in, going back to the back line onto marksman. Brody's one of the best pickups for that, right? He has the corrosion strike to be able to get that stun, get back, has a flicker to top that off as well to expand the distance, and also close the distance if he wants to go in for the kill with the torn apart memories. Now, Flat TZ, not wasting any time for the team. You know, they are going to go ahead and decide who their jungler is going to be. And that is going to be the Boxia. Now, we've been seeing the Boxia picked up today. It's definitely been executing pretty well, rotating around, able to get to the positions necessary to deal the damage. We saw RRQ Hoshi in the first game pick up a die rock to respond to it, but now, hey, they can't really pick up the die. I mean, I guess they could, but it would make it a little bit troublesome, especially when there's a Brody on the table who really wants those frontline compositions to be slotted up. So that will be a little bit of an easier time for the Boxia rotating around.
Nathan, going to be the pickup for RRQ Hoshi. I would have said Claude, but then again, this totally makes a lot of sense. It's an AoE. There's a lot of AoE that you can get out of the Nathan. Although it will take a lot of time, it's definitely okay and advisable to go for a late game hero now for RRQ Hoshi, because if you look at their two heroes, it allows for those late game types of heroes, like the Nathan that really likes to farm a lot. You have the Minotaur as well as the Fredrin to protect that Nathan. They might even couple this up with another sustain kind of hero, or maybe somewhere along the lines of a Lilia that can actually sustain herself so that he can output the damage. And now, actually, I think AP BREN might look to ban that hero, that Lilia, and obviously the Nana, the heroes that allow for the Nathan to be able to farm.
That's honestly exactly what I was going to say, right? The Nana or the Lilia is definitely something RRQ Hoshi could profit off of, and a great read from AP BREN to be able to counteract that. Now, that will put RRQ Hoshi in a little bit of a bind on who they go in for their mage. Now, Valentina looks to still be on the table. They could pick that up. I mean, it'd be great against the Faramis to provide the Nether Realm for the side of RRQ Hoshi. I mean, they have a little bit of sustainability from Bruce on the Minotaur, but it would be a really good pickup, especially to give them even more heals on these 5v5 engagements up against a hero like Brody, right? He pops that torn apart memories, instantly go in for that Nether Realm to keep the team alive. No worries about it. You've been talking about the Nathan sneaking up into the scene as well today, and now we get to see a showcasing of exactly how well it will perform up against AP BREN. But so far, we got a pretty solid draft on our hands.
Yeah, it's Lilia banned out by AP BREN as expected. But you're right. I think the Valentina could be a valid pickup here for RRQ Hoshi. However, there's that option of the Aurora, which really couples up well with the Minotaur. Maybe the next best choice is the Vexana. These two heroes that can that actually replaced Farsa and Eve, that really puts themselves just way back into the fights and just output the damage. That makes a lot of sense versus the Faramis, so that you can trickle down the extra HP from the ultimate. So that could be a valid option here for RRQ Hoshi. Might reserve their XP lane for last, or maybe they picked it up. Oh, there it is, the Vexana. I think maybe RRQ Hoshi will close it up with a Lapu Lapu.
A Lapu Lapu. You know what I'd be interested to see? The Benedetta slide through that they've been kind of dominating so well on.
That's also true.
Especially with Banana. And we talked about it walking in the early phase of the draft, and I mean, he's performed really well on it. It could be a possible pickup, especially since CC was not able to be slotted. It was currently banned out. And that's one of the few XP laners that we've been kind of seeing him run so far. We did see the Ruby banned out as well, which could have been a great answer, either flex to the XP lane or the roam position. So I would say, Benedetta could be a very good pickup for the side of RRQ Hoshi. But in terms of AP BREN, they're looking pretty solid with their draft. They have sustainability. They have great front line from the Boxia and already some good damage from the Brody. And there goes the Grok that we've seen already previously in the quarterfinals.
I would have said that maybe they snatched the Lapu-Lapu, and indeed they did that, because that means that RRQ Hoshi will not have the perfect hero to counter the Fire Mist as well as Brody. So yeah, I think they're left with one option, which is the Benedetta now for RRQ Hoshi. Apart from that, the choice will be Yuzhong, which is not the most ideal scenario. But if they want, they can still go for, like, I think they're left with Benedetta because you have AoE damage, match up against the Lapu-Lapu. Well, maybe the craziest hero that they can get is probably Yuzhong, although that is like a very underwhelming hero to go up against AP BREN. And there's it. Well, there's the Benedetta, a specialty for RRQ Hoshi. Great closeout. I think this is a relatively even draft. But I do like that, like the Nathan pick coming out from RRQ Hoshi, because it makes a lot of sense with the heroes that are around it. You have the Vexana to output the damage when the Minotaur goes for the initiation. You have Fredrin to frontline for the team, and with this kind of lineup, they have a way to front to back. At the same time, there's always that option to go for the split with Banana. So it's a really good mix for both teams.
Yeah, and with Skylar run the Nathan, it's definitely going to be a little bit different of a game than what we've seen on the Laylas. We are now stepping into the virtual arena. AP BREN out from the Philippines, looking stronger than ever. Currently at match point up against RRQ Hoshi out from Indonesia. Who will be able to prevail in that amazing draft? Like we said, pretty even on the scoreboard, but time will tell on who will be our victor for game number 2.
It's going to be a really good matchup. And I do hope that we get to a game number 3. Just because of how good the two coaches are drafting. I mean, just for game number 2, that's what I can say. It makes for an interesting draft, and I kind of want to see more. But at the same time, obviously, AP BREN would want to close this out 2-0. The way that they drafted this is to win the lanes, right? So you have the Lapu-Lapu, which is a hero that rarely loses lane. Really good in that regard. Going up against the Benedetta, I think that if you go damage build on Banana, you're going to have a better time against the Lapu-Lapu because of the trading potential that you have. Just have to be careful not to get hit with by skill 1 and skill 2 of this Flapteasy Lapu-Lapu.
Yeah, and Brusco taking some heavy hits nice and early. Going to force him to recall back to the base. RRQ Hoshi starting to try and be a little bit more aggressive. May look a little bit more promising the game number 1 on the bot side. Banana very comfortable over here on this Benedetta, forcing Kyle Teasy to the bot side to stop him from taking down Flapteasy on the 1v1 engagement.
Yeah. Gotta be Banana, just, you know. There's always that thing where you say that Banana is a one-trick kind of player, but man, every time you watch his Benedetta and the way that he plays it, you're always amazed. You can see even Flapteasy on the Yuzhong, or the Lapu-Lapu, I mean, is struggling against Banana's Benedetta.
Yeah, speaking of struggling, Big Terror find the way. Brusco will be able to find one. Takes on Ogwin. A little different of a start than we've seen in game number 1. This time, we're able to see RRQ Hoshi take the first kill as we do kind of pan over for a quick second. They are leading. That was first blood and now up by about 500 gold.
Yeah. Good movements. Taking advantage of the Fredrin Minotaur wall that they can have, moving wall that they have with the Vexana from behind. It's like a war strategy from RRQ Hoshi where they're slowly sieging AP BREN with these big boys in front line, and AP BREN couldn't do anything about it. Even in this feral take, you can see that it's difficult for them, and Octa is just outputting so much damage from behind. He's free to do it.
Yeah, a lot of damage. Irab will be able to claim that turtle. RRQ Hoshi, this is what we're talking about. This is the RRQ Hoshi we've seen in Group Stage A and in the quarterfinals. Now, leading the way in the early game, AP BREN on the backside of things this time around. Now, I would say Banana definitely opening up a lot of opportunity. Running on the Benedetta, a comfort pick, a staple pick inside of his hands. It definitely makes the difference in the early phase of the game, and it's something that RRQ Hoshi is leaning on. Now, for AP BREN, I mean, they're still looking pretty promising. We like the Brody pickup, right? It's really good up against the up and close and personal heroes. Even the Benedetta, if she decides to rush in, it could be a possible problem. But so far, RRQ Hoshi, with the slight lead, looks like they've been able to find their tempo since game 1.
Oh, yeah. And even Skylar is leading when it comes to the EXP going up against Super Marco, if I'm seeing this correctly. But there was a time where Skylar was level 5 and Super Marco was level 4. Super Marco had to go back to base, and this is looking really well for RRQ Hoshi. All of the lanes are going in their favor, and all of the core heroes from RQ Hoshi are getting the farm over their designated matchup. So that's definitely a good sign. 3 minutes, 38 seconds to get the Feather of Heaven. Great timing for Skylar.
Yeah, and Super Marco going to go ahead and pick up that Blade of Heptaseas for some great initial burst damage. Brusco trying to find an opportunity for the side of RQ Hoshi. It looks like they're going to go in for a possible pick-off. Rushing straight in a few, but he may be able to make his way into that tier 2 turret. Irad thirsty for the kill, but not able to close the distance for the setup.
Irad with just the pokes. I mean, look at him having the freedom to do this because of Brusco's protection.
Yeah, big wild charge, guarding his barrier.
Oh, wow.
Dropping down from Ogwin, trapping Brusco and Octa from escaping. It's a good thing AP BREN did not decide to engage on that, because that was a good setup to kind of zone them away from escaping.
Yeah. Great plays coming up from RQ Hoshi. You can see that without the wild charge, AP BREN might not be thinking about taking the turtle, actually. Maybe they just go for pickups. But in comes the turtle fight.
Yeah, sitting at about 75% HP. Irad on it over here with the Fredrin, being a little bit of a bully, not afraid to take the fight up close and personal. Rushes into Ogwin for the setup. Teasy zoned out from Brusco. RQ Hoshi, total control of the jungle and turtle pit so far, even extending into the purple buff, but Irad may be a little too close if they decide to engage. Big Minoan Fury, triple knockoff onto AP BREN. Brusco with the setup, forcing out the Electrifying blow, and the Nether Realm coming alive from Few, as both teams still fighting it out over this turtle. Neither side able to find the advantage they were looking for.
When Kyle is low, and Irad is half HP, but does have the sustain from the as a Fredrin. And they're trying to buzz from this turtle. Who takes it, though?
Ooh, it looks like Octa will get the steal for RRQ Hoshi. Brusco will fall, though. Super Marco finding his first kill of the game. That will go into the hands of AP BREN, but they lose the neutral objective. A 1,000 gold lead for RRQ Hoshi.
Irad.
Okay. Gonna rush in. Big wild charge for the knockup.